My name is Winnie Maggiore, and I'm an attorney and paramedic from the area in between Albuquerque and Santa Fe, New Mexico. I'm an author and a speaker here at EMS Today, and I'm a member of the GEMS editorial board. I was on a legal panel with two other EMS attorneys, Doug Wolfberg and Steve Worth, and the questions that the participants had ranged from operational issues to administrative issues to legal issues. The participants were everything from basic EMTs up through EMS medical directors. One big concern that the participants had was issues involving transport decisions, transports to subspecialty hospitals, how that interfaces with EMS protocols, what happens if they're diverted away from a hospital that the patient had requested, and what happens if the subspecialty that they need is not available at the hospital that they're being diverted to. One of the concerns that we had were from some rural EMTs who transported a patient to a hospital and there was no physician on duty at that hospital, and they were concerned at the amount of time that it took to get physician care. They didn't have a lot of options because the only other hospital that was accessible to them was another 45 minutes away. So we discussed possible options for them to remedy that situation. The lecture that I did on cognitive errors in patient assessment is something that I took from the emergency medicine literature. I am a malpractice defense lawyer, so it was very interesting to me to look into the mental processes that we use when we are assessing our patients. So what I did was take it from the emergency medicine literature and formulate something that was appropriate for EMS. And what we did was to look at how we think, because we're really not trained in diagnostic techniques. So we looked at some of the diagnostic techniques that emergency physicians use and how they might or might not be applicable in the pre-hospital setting. What we did essentially was look at how we think, how it's possible to get off track in the pre-hospital setting by looking at what appears to be a certain patient presentation when in fact that's not what it is at all, and how to slow down, back up, and sometimes start over in our patient assessments to make sure we're assessing correctly. Well, I started out as a firefighter back in 1973. I became a basic EMT in 1978 and a paramedic in 1981. I've always had an interest in the legal issues that have to do with medicine. So after a stint up at the state EMS office, I decided to go ahead and apply for law school. And when I got out of law school, I took a different track and became a prosecutor for 5 or 6 years, and then went into doing what I really went to law school to do, which was to defend healthcare providers and law enforcement officers in civil litigation. As far as how many colleagues we actually have in the legal profession, I work in a law firm of 30 people, but nationally there's a very loose association of fire and EMS attorneys that have expertise that's similar to mine, some in the fire service, some in EMS, some in both, and we have various different kinds of law practices, and all of us do at least some EMS work. The way that you would find an appropriate attorney is largely going to go state by state because our practice is state by state. There are some means by which we can practice in other states by having local counsel in the state in which something occurred. You can call the National Association of Fire and EMS Attorneys, and or through publications like GEMS and the GEMS website, you can ask those kinds of questions.